Hello, BookTube. I have a brief subject that I want to start things off for the first Steve stream of 2023. I have a brief subject that I want to bring up and sort of kick around a little. I'm still contemplating it and wondering what shape it should take. And sometimes communal conversations on such things are very useful. But before I get to that topic, I want to squelch a little shipping that's been going on. A little speculation. It's not shipping, but a little speculation that's been going on in my email about my library tour. I'm doing a library tour for 2023, and it's been well received so far. I always worry when I do such things that people are going to think that it's repetitive because I'm starting in my little book room where a large number of the books have stayed the same. That's the whole point of the little book room, is that the books stay the same. They don't change as much as they change elsewhere in my collection, because that's when you've reached paradise as a book. That's when you know you have arrived, is that you are in my little book room. uh, but no, a lot of you seem to like it. Uh, Boring stories and all. But this is, I think, the third library tour that I've done on my channel. It should be the shortest one because this is the smallest number of books that I've had on my channel. As long as I restrain myself and only keep my library tour to print and paper books. But right after I started this one, thankfully, with after much urging on the part of many people, including myself, Mark Richardson also started a library tour, his second. A lot of you were probably introduced to his channel through his first library tour back at the old farmhouse. He has an enormous book collection, and it's not only wide ranging and huge, it's also got some really nice items in it, some really fine, collectible, beautiful items in it. It's going to be a joy to watch. I hope that his schedule allows him to do it on a regular basis throughout the year. But in his first couple of library tour videos, he pulls out a book and chats about it. And a couple of you, a few of you have emailed me. Well, actually, a number of you have emailed me about, yay, isn't it great that you're both doing library tours? I've got a lot of emails about that. But a couple of people have commented that when he's doing his library tour, sometimes he will just sort of forget that the viewer is in the room, and especially forget that the viewer hasn't been reading books in detail for 50 years. In the way one of you put it in an email, I hope I'm not betraying any confidences, it's just to say the content of the email. But as one of you put it in the email, every once in a while in Mark's library tour, he will shift from doing a library tour to simply talking to me. And a few of you pointed out that in some of my library tours so far, it seems like I'm doing the same thing. It seems like I'm mainly just having a conversation with him. So I wanted to squelch this little rumor that's going around that really this is just uh, me and Mark, conversing with each other about our libraries. We are actually meaning to involve the rest of you. We are not, as Bertie Wooster put it, about his various horrible aunts. We are not two brontosauruses calling to each other across a swamp. But that was the little item that I wanted to clear up. The subject that I want to talk about is STD. The subject is the Steve Tiberius Donahue Book Club. I've been thinking about making a book club. Brought up the idea a few times last year, and I thought this year would be the year to give it a try. And I was momentarily discouraged, of course, by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, who made a drunken, obscenity-laced video as usual. It's always the quiet ones. She made a video on her channel and mentioned in passing that BookTube now has so many book clubs, so many book discussion groups, so many uh, discords where you can go for a book club. And I agree, there's a lot of them. She wasn't decrying them as anything negative, and I'm not either. That's wonderful. The more community, the better, right? That's why BookTube exists, to make communities where once it was really hard for bookish people to have community. Now, thanks to BookTube, it's really easy to do. But it got me thinking. That offhand comment of hers got me thinking about whether or not BookTube even needs another book club, and what kind of a book club would I have anyway? What kind of a book club would I? I've been voxering back and forth about this with a poor, unfortunate recipient, trying to figure out what a book club of mine would be like if I had one. I don't really want a Discord. The more I've looked at it, the more I don't like it. Now, I don't know if that's just the prima donna control freak inside me or not, but the idea of conversations just going on where I'm not there, where they can be about me, but I don't need to be part of them. I'd rather not do that. I don't, from what I know of Discords, I don't particularly like them. They seem like something that a star would set up so that they could occasionally, once a year, drop in and excite everybody because a new album is coming out or something like that. I could be understanding them completely wrong. Um, but that got me thinking about what a book club is like in general. I have never really been a part of one for pretty obvious reasons, but a lot of you have been. And I get the impression that in most book clubs, people pick a book and the assumption is that either nobody has read that book or only the person who proposes it has read it, and for them it will be a reread and everybody else will be a first time read. But I get the impression that most book clubs like to go in blind where nobody has read the book. That's not really going to work, is it? that's that's uh that's not really going to work when it comes to a book club for me. Because if we find a book that I haven't read that is of any kind of general interest, chances are it'll be terrible. It won't. Chances are it won't bear even my book, book club level scrutiny, much less everybody's. In other words, the more I think about a book club for that I would do, the more I think that the Steve Tiberius Donahue book club should be, as I put it in a Voxer message, kind of uh, proctored book club. If that doesn't sound awful, if that doesn't if that doesn't sound awful, oh wait, hey, there are comments. I forgot for a minute what Steve streams are like, what they're supposed to be. I've missed a lot of comments. Kevin J.N., when does your blurb New Testament come out? The one on Amazon has a 2012 publication date. It's out already. I have it on the shelf in Little Book Room. It'll be the very last thing we do when we tour the Little Book Room. It's out already. The new Norton Critical Edition of the English Bible, New Testament, has a blurb by me on it. The I don't know if Amazon is maybe using the original publication date, but the newer one has black details instead of brown. Doesn't look like the version that I held up today. Uh, I don't have any tech around me except the one that I'm Steve streaming on, so I can't look it up and tell. It's kind of odd that I don't have tech within arm's reach, but it's been a day. Oh my, has it been a day? I would ask why are editors such flighty, needy creatures, but I technically am one. So I don't want to ask that question. I'm afraid that some of you would start to answer. Let's see here. Void being. Why don't you talk more openly about being gay? Did you have gay partners? Why do you talk about teens so much? What on earth? And you go on. I originally found your videos from that strange gay joke you made during the Anatomy of Melancholy review very jarring. Okay, I don't know what any of this what any of this is about. Uh, it's certainly off of any topic that I brought up. It sounds almost admonishing, right? Hmm. Kevin J. N. Lex Friedman, not to be confused with Lex Fridman, just released a book club. He did a video on 1984. He really, oh no, if it's 1984, it might be Lex Fridman. Do you mean Lex Fridman, the MIT guy, the stoned deep thinker who loves to talk to Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein? Do you mean him, or are you adding the E accidentally? The Spaminator is here. Oh God, so much for New Year, New You. There's nothing pillowy or pecty. Oh wait, I lost you. Uh, I've been duped. No, you haven't been duped. You think this grows on trees? The book collecting is here. Hello. Oh no, Micah Cummins. I just referred to you. I didn't name you, but I just referred to a poor Voxer recipient who's already been listening to all of my comments, all of my questions about book clubs, trying to figure out what they are. Micah says, "Under the weather today. This is just what I needed." Oh, and he's greeting MJ. You're having little conversations without me. You're having little conversations between yourselves. That's great. Oh, okay. Kevin JN says, yes, it is Lex Fridman that you're thinking. Okay. I could go on for an hour about Lex Fridman just alone. And I can't because this is going to be a brief Steve stream. This is only to dodge uh responsibility. That's all this is to dodge responsibility. I have monstrous edits, monstrous things that I have to do. Uh Oh God, this chat is flying by. Geo Craftsman says, I'm probably a little behind here. Did you bring your locked out tablet from a month or two ago to the Apple store? I did. They couldn't help me. They made me wait a bit. They were very pleasant, and they couldn't help me. They said maybe that little private shop around the corner on Newbury Street could help me. They gave me directions. I actually went there, found the place. I know the building. I know the people who used to live there. I know the whole history of the place. It's all now subdivided into all these cheap offices on 2 floors. Probably they're a resident. There's an apartment on the 3rd floor. But I found the guy. I said, you were recommended to me as someone who could maybe fix this. And he said, yeah, I probably can. Let's see it. I took it out of the bag, and I swear I didn't even open it. I was barely out of my bag before I said, no, I can't do anything with that. Nothing at all with that. So I said, okay, thanks. You were kind of my last hope. So thanks anyway. Thanks for not wasting my time, which is the Apple Store mostly did. Uh, and I closed the laptop. I put it in my bag. I walked out of his office. I walked down the stairs. I walked out of the brownstone. I walked up the street, and I dropped it in a trash bag. I dropped it in a barrel. I don't need to bring a 2-pound paperweight back here. If it's password locked, then that's that. Uh, uh, let's see here. The Spaminator says, ignore the clowns. Well, except for me, of course. D Temple 54. You mentioned Kenneth Roberts last night. His books are available in both Kindle and paperback. His books are not available in the US in paperback. But Kindle, that's exciting if that's true. Alex Hardy says, hey, Steve, excited that your Western Canon Volume 2 starts next week. When is your next presidential library video coming out? Just to remind you, you're up to James Monroe. Also, hello from Dorchester. Goodness gracious. Well, I haven't made any of those promises. I have thought a little about another round of Western Canon, but I really wanted to just get the basics done. I don't want people to think this is a lifelong project. That was why I did the Western Canon starter kit to start with. But the topic here was STDs. It was the Steve Tiberius Donahue Book Club and what form it should take. Not that any of you care. Matt's Bookshelves here. I'm surprised you show your face on this Steve stream after the video you did with Big Nate, knowing perfectly well what I think of Blood Meridian, and yet you did a fawning video about Blood Meridian. The nerve. All through the video, I was quoting from Terrence Stamp in Superman 2. Why do you say these things when you know I will kill you for it? But anyway, I recently finished Fitzgerald's Last Tycoon. I really enjoyed it. I'm wondering what your favorite or perhaps most agonizing unfinished books are. Oh my. Oh, I'm thinking of all the major literary ones, but I bet it would be a science fiction thing. I bet if I really dug around, I would it would be a science fiction thing that isn't finished. The Spaminator. Wait, did I miss that? Western Canon Starter Kit Volume 2. Yes, no, you didn't miss it. No, it hasn't started. I haven't even decided to do it. Hamilton Thompson says, with all of the torrential rain, have you spoken to Mr. Vaughn in California? How's he making out? I bet it's pretty rough on him. I haven't spoken about specifics, but I bet it's pretty rough. The numbers coming out are unbelievable. There's virtually no chance that he is unscathed. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the exact details, but I'm pretty sure that Vaughn Manor is not on the Mexican border, which is pretty much where it would have to be for him to be unscathed. and it's epic, and it shows no signs of stopping. It's just wave after wave after wave. So I'm hoping that he's faring really well. Uh, Heather Gregg is here. Why aren't you doing something valuable with your time? Oh, Steve Stream isn't lasting long though. This is I am procrastinating. My pecs are procrastinating. Why not combine the STD book club and the Western Canon Volume 2? I thought about that. I thought about that, but then I thought I could do that. But my inclination with the STD book club is newer stuff. Which is why I have all sorts of ancillary questions about, do I limit membership? That feels so anathema to the community I have here on BookTube. But do I limit membership? Do I issue a peremptory apology that we're going to talk about a book that you are going to have to buy or get at your library? We're not going to talk about something that's in the common domain that you can just download from Project Gutenberg. I haven't decided on any of these things, but I figured Micah could use a break from being the only one who's bouncing ideas. Oh goodness gracious! Look at this chat; it's just going crazy. Um, yeah, let's do a few more here. Andrew Russell currently reading "Don't Cry for Me" by Daniel Black. It's poignant, but what is it with books that promise to be epistolary yet never successfully actually adopt the form of letters? Yeah, I've seen that plenty of times. I honestly think it's just that the writers don't know what they're doing. That's all. But then that's my go-to answer, isn't it? Marcel says, "Hey Steve, glad to see you back. Would you rather use your large biceps to spank Cormac McCarthy or David Foster Wallace?" Oh well, David Foster Wallace is officially dead. Cormac McCarthy is only unofficially so. So I think I'd rule both of them out. There's a short list of authors I would far rather substitute. Maximus Sedich says, "Oh wait, oh did I lose you? Oh my God! I tuned into a conversation Lex Fridman had with someone regarding Dostoevsky, and it was just two people regaling the Wikipedia article on him back and forth. Paltry. I don't understand that kid's reputation. I don't understand the inroads he has made into the so-called intellectual dark web. He is, I mean, no offense here. I know this is a partially offensive comment, but there's no avoiding it. He is obviously an idiot. So I don't understand why Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson or Brett Weinstein or Eric Weinstein are all going on his channel and sitting across from him as if they were sitting across from an intellectual powerhouse. Unless there's something I'm completely missing, he's just a stoner idiot. Just a knockoff version of Joe Rogan who's decided that who's decided that intellectual viability means that you're open to believing any kind of nonsense anybody pulls out of their boxer shorts. If that is a legitimate business model, then I'm in the wrong business. That's for sure. Ether Channel. Hi, Steve. Is it worth to read the Army of the Potomac trilogy? I keep hearing good things about it, but it seems like a chunker. You must be new to my channel. Yes, it is very much worth reading. Yes, it is. In fact, if you want to spend a little money, again, I'm not meaning to be the Mr. Capitalism in this Steve stream. If you want to spend a little money, the Library of America just came out with a one volume of the Army of the Potomac trilogy. It's sewn binding. It's bright white acid free pages. It's beautiful. You could do worse than to maybe go on eBay and find a still wrapped secondhand copy of that for $25. Uh, Although, keep in mind, standard things, standard boilerplate. If you are new to my channel, then you might not have heard it. If all your avenues fail, let me know and I will find it for you. I'm sure that I can. Let's see here. Scolger says, so it's decided Western Canon Volume 2 next week. This live stream will last for 4 months now. Now, neither one of those is decided. This live stream is almost over. And although I always forget how much fun they are. This live stream is almost over. And I haven't decided on the Western Canon starter kit. I thought a library tour would satisfy uh, at least somebody, but apparently not. Uh, Spaminator is talking to Heather Gregg and saying, good idea, but that's not true. I don't know what you're referring to, but Heather's never had a good idea, including joining this live stream. Anti Gaia. Steve, did you like Gore Vidal or did you find it too pretentious? Or his Burr, Gore Vidal's Aaron Burr, or his Burr. It has its pretentious moments, but I think it's one of his better historical novels. Not up there with Julian, or creation, but certainly the best novel in his that huge sprawling sequence in which I think it's the first, right? It's the first of his American novels. It's by far the best of those. Uh, Bryce's 1000 just finished Waldrop's Them Bones. Oh my God. Oh, I must have recommended that. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation. Yeah. Yeah, he's terrific. He's absolutely terrific. He's forgotten. Science fiction has forgotten him, but he's really, really good. Uh, let's see here. Did I miss a message? I think I missed a bunch. Oh, God help us. Alex Hardy says, how do you feel about Mrs. Dalloway? I'm not a big fan of stream of consciousness type stuff. I hate masturbatory modernism like McCarthy, but there seems to be more to Dalloway than those. Yes. Yes. For instance, there's literary genius on every page, in every paragraph. So there's that, which Cormac McCarthy has never come within shouting distance of. David Wiley is here, seconding a Western canon resurrection, even just an amendment to another 10 works to read so we can rectify the absence of the Fairy Queen. I hate to break this to you, mi bucko, but the Fairy Queen wouldn't be in volume 2 either. It is a dead work. It is a completely dead work. There's no way that it would be in a Western canon round 2. Uh, the Spamator, you can't limit membership. I'd be the first one limited. It's true, you would be. You'd be the first one off the raft. I wouldn't. It wouldn't feel right to do it anyway. It wouldn't feel right to limit membership in anything. But I don't know how to do it otherwise. I don't know how to have an STD book club with a lot of people. How would that happen? Would I set up a separate Voxer group for that and just have ongoing conversations throughout the month? And then when the month is over, if we did a book a month, when the month is over, we just officially change the subject. So after the first, we're not going to talk about the last book anymore. We're going to move on. And then what do I do? So I would make what? Let's say if we read a book a month, maybe I would do 4 videos a month, one a week, breaking up the book into 4 parts. And the whole of the month we'd be having a Voxer chat about it at the same time. Does that sound workable? I don't know. Amberly says, hello, Steve. Hello, chat. Reading This Life says, is referring to David Wiley, not talking to me. Mike Cummins is praising David Wiley. David Wiley's now praising MJ. Eyes on the prize. Okay. Uh, Gola Muad'Dib. Happy New Year, Steve. We missed you. Oh, that's very nice. Well, I'm back. And we're doing Steve streams, although this Steve stream is born entirely of guilty conscience. I'm just procrastinating. That's all. I have work to do, and I'm just putting it off. But I'm having fun. Uh, let's see here. Nicholas says, hi, Steve. Is that Larry Wheels in the thumbnail? Okay, first of all, offended. Why are you assuming it's not me in the thumbnail? Okay, first, check yourself before you wreck yourself. But the second hand, if we're talking about second hand, no, it's Mike Thurston. It's a photo enhanced Mike Thurston. Why anybody would do that? Mike Thurston in reality looks photo enhanced, so I don't know why anybody would use Photoshop on his pecs. Nevertheless, they did. Although the Stevestream is not Mike Thurston, because I'm pretty sure, as beautiful as he is, that he couldn't do this. He could do a lot. He could probably bench press me during the entire process of a Stevestream, but I don't think he could do this himself. Uh, David Wiley says, "Great to see you, Mike." Oh, great! So you're just having a little get together, a little conversational picnic, all amongst yourselves, with me right here, a a beacon at Alexandria of pure sexiness. Not really sure about that choice. Let's see here. Geo Craftsman says the STD Club can be revisiting books you reviewed negatively long ago, along with us. You said that being made to look at old books a second time is one of the things you love about BookTube. It's true, but I briefly thought about that second looks at books where that would make it a little bit new for me. The problem is I'm so often right. My own omniscience is the problem here, because that would raise the distinct possibility that the book we pick, I would read it and then think, well, no, I was right about this. It stinks. It still stinks. I would, for every one example where I reread a book that I had a negative reaction to the first time and love it the second time. There are 100 examples where I read it the second time and think, no, I was right the first time. I wouldn't want that to happen and ruin everybody's time. Uh, the book Eclectic, my favorite Steve starter kit was on Egypt. I'll be reading this year, by the way. Uh, well, the Egypt one was fun to do. I have fond memories of Egypt despite the rampaging heat. Michael Lombardo. Hey, Steve, would a JFK themed book club be of any interest to people since it's the 60th anniversary this year? Oh my God, yes. I know that it's the 60th anniversary. Oh my God, yes. That is not part of my editorial burdens tonight, but in, what is this, the 10th? Yes, the 10th. In 4 weeks, that is going to be that is going to be a part of my writing burdens in an enormous way. Fortunately, when it comes to the JFK assassination, I'm not going to need to agonize. I'm not going to have ankle weights. When it comes time to do that, I will open a document and simply write. I already know the details. I know all the references. They're all in my head. So I don't need to do anything to generate that prose except make the time, except set the time aside. But I think it's 25,000 words, which you set the time aside all you want. That's still a lot. That's still a commitment, but that's not for a while. I'm not going to do an STD book club on the JFK assassination or on JFK in general. No way. I'm not going to do anything themed. If I pick a book for the STD book club, that I could easily do, especially if I go with my original conception of this thing, which is that it's books that are just out there, a book that you might have to buy, as opposed to what I've stuck with or tried to stick with most of the time in read-alongs or read-throughs or whatever, which is books that you can get free. And you could, I'm thinking, most of the things I would pick you could get free at the library. I've got this horrible Irish Catholic guilt that I don't want to be a burden to any of you. I don't want to put a burden on any of you. Uh, anyway, Mike Cummins is back. I think that would be a good model to follow, Steve. Which model are you talking about? I've floated quite a few. Leo Percara, Lex Fridman keeps quoting Bukowski and Kerouac like they're deep or something. He's just a dude, bro. Maybe good at math, but I don't know about that either. Yeah, I don't. He must have a backstory that I don't know. There has to be a backstory to explain the caliber of the guests that he gets on and the obvious regard they have for him. There has to be a reason for that that I don't know about. I've never researched the kid, but I've never researched Lex Fridman. But I have known a great many versions of him, and he's not that different. He's not a big variation on the pattern. I don't think. I'm pretty good at reading exactly his persona and demographic. I don't think there's anybody on earth better at reading that demographic than I am. And every instinct that I have says that I know him extremely well, and that he's about as limited as it gets. So I don't know. Maybe he has some sort of social media reach that these guests want to take advantage of, regardless of what a moron he is. He seems to me to be very much along the Joe Rogan line of being a credulous moron who has weaponized his credulity. Where there's a they out there with a capital T. There are patterns and practices and mysticism out there. It's all religion. It's all that there are hidden societies in deep, eyes wide shut cloaks that are running things behind the scenes. And every guest that comes on his show alludes to groups like that. And he never pushes back on any of them because he obviously believes it himself. And I think that's because he is very fond of, shall we say, waking and baking. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't subscribe to his channel, so I only look at it when it comes up in my feed or when I'm going down a rabbit hole of some of his guests. I went down a rabbit hole, a very shallow rabbit hole, I should add, on Jeffrey Epstein, and he had Eric Weinstein on his show, or I think a couple of times, about Jeffrey Epstein, and I only encounter him that way, just glancingly. Tori Reed says, Happy New Year, Steve. Why, thank you. David Wiley, STD Book Club for every one of your starter kits. We all choose the starter kit. You reread them all with us. Huh. That's an interesting idea. Who knew there was a brain behind that pretty face? Heather Gregg, Steve, where's your sense of adventure? Cross the STD book club with a combative air of Steve Stream. You pick the book, we meet once a month, and you ask the questions, and we scream back at you in chat. All right, well, I don't know how much your tongue is in your cheek, but that's not a bad idea either. See, all of these things, I need to figure out what I want to do before I launch this thing. Uh, uh, the Spaminator. Oh, God. Wait, where did you go? Speaking of science fiction, I'm reading Dune. Thanks for the ebook. I almost decided it wasn't for me. The beginning is dry, but when it finally breaks loose, oh boy, you got to give it a little time. A little time. I maintain that if you can make it to the great banquet scene at the beginning, then you'll make it through the rest of the book. But you have to give it a little time. It's a pretty complex. Nicholas says, "Will this be the year of Ovid, Steve?" Yeah, I don't know where that plan went. It's like I was mentioning this with Hannah and Hannah's books. I was mentioning that the idea of a year of favorites, where a whole bunch of booktubers spend a whole year talking in depth about their favorite authors, that doesn't have as much appeal to me if I'm the only one who's doing it. And as some of you have already emailed me, Jason Harrigan's channel appears to have disappeared again. So we might not even get eco fiction, and that was the only other one that I knew of. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that this will be the year of anything for me. Uh, Tori Reed says, "Oh, is asking Spaminator Dune dry, trying to be clever, bub." No, he's just trying to be annoying. And since it's Spaminator, he's not even trying. He's just that way automatically. Yes, he admits he never tries. He just does. Micah Cummins, Discord model with conversations going throughout the month for each book. Yeah, but as I mentioned to you, I don't like the idea of on Discord. Can't the conversations go on and on without me? I, I am little Shirley Temple. I need to be the center of attention in my own book club. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I just don't know Discord well enough to really know what I'm talking about. Ghola Muad'Dib is back, no doubt drawn by discussions of Dune. I got Heretics of Dune for Christmas. First time reading it. I'm enjoying your DuneTube videos as I read the series. Yeah, I looked over DuneTube. It'd be nice if somebody would join me for DuneTube in 2022. I looked over my older videos because somebody else mentioned that they were working their way through a Dune book. I think it was God Emperor, and watching my videos. So I watched a bunch of them, and they're great. Of course, I am sexy. You are great. We are great. uh, but there's a lot of plot summary that gets repeated video by video. I think, too conscious of newcomers, which maybe that's not true because the emails that I've been getting are from newcomers who are probably benefiting from the repeated plot repetitions. I think my DuneTube for 2023 would probably be very different. Probably more to the point. Maybe isn't the new Villeneuve Dune coming out this year? Maybe that would be a reason to do DuneTube again. Um, let's see here. Tori Reed says my family does. Oh, I lost you. My family does a book club, and my cousin chose the newest Cormac books. Anything you come up with is far from a burden compared to that. Steve, I assure you. See, I've never done an actual normal book club. I've never done anything like that, so I don't have that template to work off. Booknick says you got Lex way wrong. Booknick, I certainly did not. I don't know his background. I don't know the details of his background, but I know him. I know his station in life. I know his demographic. I know his gender. I know his age. I have dealt with him in air quotes, many, many times, more times than you have teeth in your head. I'm not getting him wrong. I don't know the details of him, but I am not the essence. I am not wrong. Tori Reed says Fridman got his bump from Rogan's Oh, did he go on Joe Rogan's podcast? Interesting. He was a teacher at MIT, PhD in computer science from my own beloved Drexel. Oh, really? Drexel University? Good Lord, I've got some smart people in the chat. Plus Spaminator. He's a simp for Musk and Rogan. Tells you all you need to know. Well, I know. I have mapped some of his sympathies. Of course, now this Stevestream is making me want to go and do a dive on his channel. Although I don't need to. I know this kid. I have worked out with this kid. I have spent time with this kid. I have spent weekends with this kid. Not this one individual, but oh my, the pattern is so clear. And if he doesn't trouble to distinguish himself from the pattern, then I can go by the pattern. Anyway, Alex Hardy says, so James Monroe. A lot of you are still dying. Do you realize it's been years since the last presidential starter kit? The last presidential library video? It's been years, years, and you people are holding on. Andy Curly Books, is the Dune series worth reading? You've got to be kidding me. I read the first book and was pretty happy with how it resolved. Okay, well, that's an excellent point. It's a point that a lot of Dune fans don't make or don't see. They're so accustomed to thinking of it as a whole series. In fact, thanks to Brian Herbert, they're accustomed to thinking of it as a 40-book series. That they overlook the fact that Dune, the novel, does have a curiously satisfying ending. But there's a lot more. And the books that Frank Herbert wrote are all great. They are all great. So I agree that it is a kind of happy resolution. It's not a happy ending, but it's neat enough so that you could stop right there. But I don't know. I would hesitate to tell you to stop right there because you'd be missing a lot of fun. Gola Muad'Dib says, oh, did I lose you? Even though I have another book to read, so far Dune is my favorite sci-fi book series of all time. The Spaminator, needing to be the center of attention, can relate. Well, if the STD book club is by invitation only, I wouldn't hang around the mailbox if I were you. I've got my own supervillain. Matt Sheridan is here. Good evening, St. Donahue and my fellow Donahue followers. Guys. I haven't done the guys yet. Although we've been right next to guys because we've been talking about Lex Fridman. Where that came from, I never know what's going to happen in these live streams. I never do. Joe Law 13. Steve, I was just introduced to the Universe 25 experiment, but everything I read about seems so politically tilted. Is there an objective book worth reading? Not sure what you mean. What is Universe 25? Do I know what you're talking about? I don't think I do. Oh, I can't help you. That's not good. David Wiley, count me in for your favorites if it gains some traction. Oh, only if it gains traction? Mr. Popularity? So you're a clout chaser. You don't want to be involved in it until it's popular. Typical of big channels like yours. I don't know if it should be, I don't know what form it should take. What should we read for an STD book club? What should February's pick be? Should I pick a meat and potatoes book that I really like and that I want you all to read? Should it be something out there in the mid list or the back list that we can explore together? Or should it be, I don't even know. I don't want it to be canonical. I'd rather that it not be canonical. That would feel, it's already going to be a little bit top heavy. I was trying to bring this up with a couple of people on Voxer. It's already going to be top heavy because it's almost certainly going to be a book that I've read. And I don't forget a lot of the books that I've read. So I'm already going to be in a position a little bit too close to pedagogical. If it were a canonical work, that would just be gone completely. I would just be teaching that work. And I don't know that holds much attraction. Anyway, here, Michael Lombardo, someone wants me to suggest Clifford's CMAC book club would be logical. I wonder who that someone could be. Matt Sheridan, Lex Fridman. Oh, did I lose you? I might have lost you. Boy, this chat is active. Lex Fridman has that very annoying trait of talking like an ASMR character in an attempt to come across more profound than he really is. He has mastered the technique of the searching stare, of the quiet, contemplative, I'm sort of looking to get some answers out of the universe. He's mastered that, and he doesn't feel that way. That is not genuine. Micah comments, I need to split, but it's been fun. Thanks, Steve. Bye, everyone. Going off to puke? Are we feeling that sick, or do you need your rest? You probably need your rest. Oh, reading this life, feel better, Micah. You feel better, Micah. What about me? No, feel better, Micah. Definitely. Jeffrey Clark. I was walking in Boston and I found a MacBook Pro in the garbage after a little bit of work. I was able to log in. Thanks, Steve. Well, if that's true, I apologize for all this, the tentacle romance that you encountered. Muad'Dib. I'm also reading Tolkien's the Book of Lost Tales Part One, enjoying it so far. When you get to the meat and potatoes of Book of Lost Tales One or Two, they wander around and they are sketchy in a lot of parts. But when you get to a meat and potatoes part, a part that is a polished story, then yeah, you're right in the main narrative drive of Tolkien. It's wonderful, really wonderful. I've always wished that Christopher Tolkien or somebody, some good editor, would take Book of Lost Tales 1, Book of Lost Tales 2, and merge them together. And I don't just mean lump them together, I mean merge them together into one big book called Lost Tales. I know kind of editorially what I'd like that book to look like. I can't really describe it, but yeah, they are very enjoyable. Uh, the Spaminator. I'm wrestling this weekend, thinking of introducing my new finishing move, the Shakespeare. I'll tackle my opponent to the ground and bash them in the head with a heavy one-volume Shakespeare. Well, my own history with Greco-Roman wrestling, the Shakespeare finishing move was quite different from what you're describing. Pretty effective, but quite different. Psychedelic B, do you think there's any merit to Brian Herbert's conclusion to Frank Herbert's Dune books? No, not at all. Not any. There's not any merit to any of the 25 books that exist. Not any. There's no merit to them at all. You should ignore them the way you would ignore Dune fan fiction on fanfiction.net. Uh, guys. I haven't done that. This Steve stream has to wrap up anyway, but uh I haven't abused the guy's privilege. Evil Joshua, Steve, you mentioned all sex scenes are inherently ungraceful. But what about the elegant scene from the graphic novel In? I didn't find it elegant. I I maybe it's just me, but I didn't find it elegant. Visually beautiful, but a distraction. Ultimately, a distraction. Ultimately trivial compared to the rest of the things that were going on. I'm very happy to hear, though, that you took my recommendation. I'm assuming that it was my recommendation to read it. That's wonderful. Kevin JN, Steve, Mark, your calendar. Lex Fridman is reviewing Dune in May. You've got to be kidding me. Please tell me that you mean he's reviewing the movie. You've got to be kidding me. Oh my God. Oh, this is going to be all about the psychedelics of the spice and the intricacies of the Missionaria Protectiva. It's going to be all about religion and spice. He wouldn't understand narrative effectiveness if it walked up to him with a plastic name tag that said, "Hello, my name is narrative effectiveness." Oh, I'm going to have to subscribe to this kid's channel. After this Steve stream, I'm going to have to do that. Geo Craftsman says, "What if the book club were comic book based?" Well, then it would be all me and nobody else. It's no, I mean, if I were to do it variety wise, I might put a comic book in there, but I don't know the criterion of how to choose which books. There are a number of key questions that I need to answer. How do I go about choosing books is down on the list. The number one question I need to answer is what form should it take? Uh, uh, Bless Spaminator for consistently hilarious comments. Okay. That reading guy. So no Erasmus. No, there'll be no Erasmus. No, no, it's ridiculous. No one reads Erasmus anymore. No one does. And there are maybe 5 people in the world who, no, 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 Erasmus, no, definitely not. Whatever anybody else, I don't know who else. I'm thinking for the choices for the STD book club, I'm thinking of far more general interest stuff that people have heard about but maybe haven't read. Nicholas, is the mouse of Hyde Cottage still successfully avoiding the bean in this new year? I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I posted on Instagram last year, at the end of last year, I posted there was one mouse who was really, really adventurous. So he would come out from underneath the bookcase and actually go inside Frida's empty food bowl and wander around the bottom, sort of licking and chewing at the tiny little specks that mice can find. I took a picture of him. I took a couple of pictures of him because his pluck really endeared him to me. But he was willing not only to come out on the floor in broad daylight with a mouser 10 feet away, but to go inside her bowl. I thought that showed initiative. I don't know if you saw those pictures on Instagram. He did not survive. He was met a rather brutal end. There is one other. There are plenty of mice, I'm sure. There's one other mouse who's made an outward appearance, and so far that mouse is sticking to the countertops in the kitchen, which I cannot talk to mice, so I cannot tell them if you stick to the countertop in the kitchen, you'll be fine. You'll have all the food and water that you want. I'll never bother you. I'll clean up your poop because I notice you don't clean it up yourself. I'll disinfect everything, and you'll never be in any danger. It's when you go down on the floor that you will be in danger, and not just in any danger. You will be in danger of a lightning fast mouser in the prime of her speed and strength. You won't have a chance. You won't have a single chance. But I can't tell them that. I can't talk to them. So, Gola Muad'Dib, I'm also enjoying picking out everything George Lucas stole, borrowed from Dune. Not just the first book. Oh no, not just the first book. No, but the first book was enough to inspire an immortal quote in the science fiction community that George Lucas peered into the depths of Frank Herbert's Dune and ripped off everything inside. Somebody said that 50 years ago, and Lucas has never lived it down because it's so obviously true. Uh, Mio Mink, completely off topic, but Moose Story, please. Not in a Steve stream. If you all come over for wine and calzones, the Moose Story may make an appearance. Although that also has been years. Matt Sheridan, Steve, what are your thoughts on Stacy Schiff's book on Samuel Adams? I really liked it. As you know, if you read my review in the Christian Science Monitor, if you saw its status on my year-end best biographies list, then you will know I ranked it very highly. Michael Lombardo, oh, did I lose you? How about a book to film book club? Read the book, then watch the film, then discuss. I thought about that because I intensely love doing that. That is one of my favorite things to do. But I worry that Sean Stanfast would feel that I was stepping on his toes. That's another element of an STD book club, is that I don't want anybody to think I'm poaching their ideas. This is the weird thing, this is the weird thing that I talk to people about all the time. That this is the weird part about having a somewhat large number of subscribers. It removes a freedom that I would have if I had 400 subscribers, which is, if I had 400 subscribers, nobody would care what I did. But if I make a book to movie club, well, Sean has done a number of things. He does a regular feature like that on his channel. I wouldn't want him to feel that I was poaching that. Uh, Heather Gregg is back. Make it a book club with a wildly different book each week, and then we can all pick and choose which week or weeks we want to get the book for. You're not stuck with one type of book. Well, true. I did think about a wild variety. I did think that refreshing not to be stuck with one kind of book. But I view it as frothing at the mouth heresy, your suggestion that some of you would drop out for a certain month. I'm not sure what kind of parasocial relationship you think you have with me, but that's not it. You don't get to quit me. You don't get to pick and choose when you will sit open mouthed and enthralled by my sexy omniscience. That is a universal thing. That happens 24/7. Okay? Jeez. Uh, oop, let's see here. Andy Curly Books. Who the hell is Lex Fridman? Yes. Well, that was the question we started off with Steve Stream. I didn't think I never know. I never know which weird turn these things are. They always take one, and I never know what it's going to be. He's a intellectual dark web podcasting credulous stooge. He's a miniature Joe Rogan in a suit and tie. He has all the usual suspects on his show to say all the usual things, and I hadn't given him much thought until he kept coming up. Now that he's kept coming up in the Steve stream, I will certainly be doing a dive on his channel. Not tonight because I've got to wrap up this Steve stream and I've got to get back to work. But soon. uh, the Spaminator, not Greco-Roman wrestling, pro wrestling. The real stuff. I'm not sure what kind of Greco-Roman wrestling you've done. It's been mighty real for me. Kevin JN, the book Dune, not kidding. Okay. not kidding about. I might have missed the context there. The Spaminator's back. I'm feeling pretty blessed. All right, maybe the whiskey. I've also see the similarities between Dune and Star Wars. Not to mention the John Carter of Mars books. Yeah, well, nobody confesses to stealing from Edgar Rice Burroughs anymore. Uh, Alex Hardy. Also, why do we never see Commonwealth book hauls? Oh my God, Alex, you noticed. You're the very first person to notice that in years, in the whole year, the whole time that my channel's been up. You're the very first person to notice that there's a well-stocked, really friendly used bookstore literally a block away from the Brattle Bookshop. And I don't ever go there. Now, uh, uh, the answer to your question should be obvious, right? I, it's a long story, and long stories won't work in a Steve stream that I am trying to wrap up. I knew the guy who used to run Commonwealth Books 20 years ago, and I loved him, as did everyone else in the Boston book community. I loved him, and I loved his sweet old mother. He doesn't run it anymore, and I'm not saying anything negative about the people who do, but that removed the personal connection. And with the personal connection gone, why would I go elsewhere? I mean, I know that I make Brattle book hauls all the time and that I show you a stack of books and I talk all about them, but it has to be obvious that the main reason I go to the Brattle is because I love it. I love the place. I love the people. I love the memories there. I don't have that with the Commonwealth books that's right around the corner, but I should go. I've never done that, and I should. You're right. That reading guy, whatever happened to Mayberry Book Club? Your read along with Vampire Lestat last year seemed to kill him. Yeah, he's gone. Lots and lots of people are gone. Jordan Parsons disappeared. It's just natural attrition. Some people just feel like BookTube isn't doing anything for them. I have to say, not that I don't want to start any trouble, uh, but I have to say, videos like the one that Criminali made about how to succeed in BookTube uh, don't help with people like that who are maybe right on the edge and wondering, is this doing anything for me? My channel's not growing. No one seems to be watching my videos. That wasn't true in Jordan's case, and it wasn't true in Matthew's case either. I worry when a booktuber with as high a profile as Ollie talks about metrics that I don't think are important and that can't be coerced by the quality of what you're doing. They're largely happenstance. So I don't know. I don't. People run. It's not just that. It's not just that kind of a reason. People run their course with BookTube. I haven't yet, but people do. uh, let's see here. Gola Muad'Dib, even with Star Wars prequels, they're basically Dune. Nicholas, why do you think no one reads Erasmus anymore, Steve? Well, the technical reason, at least on one level, is because the praise of folly is not taught in school anymore. That was the only toehold that Erasmus ever had, was the praise of folly, not not the Enchiridion, not familiar colloquies, not anything like that. That's the one book that he lived with, and it's largely not taught anymore, except in religion specialties now. Used to be on basic introductory freshman curriculum. It's not anymore. And with that gone, no one will do it. He will never come back. He'll just fade away. He didn't start a school. He didn't start a church. He didn't start a denomination. So, and he didn't wasn't burned at the stake. So I don't think he'll come back. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. But Maximus Stedich just finished M, Son of the Century today. It perturbed me more than I expected. Aside from the future translations of the tetralogy, would reading Bassani's Ferrante novels naturally follow? Oh, I hadn't ever thought of that. I've never heard anyone make that connection, and I hadn't made that connection. But his Ferrante novels are great. That new one volume translation. If you go on eBay, I'm sure you can find it for $10, and it is great. I guess that would work. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that will keep the flavor definitely. uh, it disturbed me too a lot. Uh, the Spaminator also disturbs me. I've never seen a single moon salt or pile driver in Greco-Roman wrestling. They don't even cut promos on each other or wear face paint. Sheesh. Uh, well, the pile driver move is reserved for after the meet. uh, Kevin J.N., I think Mayberry ran off to Spain for a love connection. That could very well be. Could very well be just personal reasons. That is certainly the way that it happens with most booktubers. They get an internship or a job or a lover, or they change locations, or they're what it's usually personal relations. I usually don't think it's booktube driving them away. I mean, you think about Michael K. Vaughan, for instance. it's entirely likely that the the fact that his home state is experiencing once in a century catastrophic weather will decrease his participation in booktube. That's entirely likely. Oh, Fit to be Read is here. Sorry to get here late. Was stuck at the voting for speaker club. Come here, Frida. Come up here. Come on, baby. Come up here. Come on, baby girl. I can't reach you, little girl. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Come. There you go. I have to give her, go on up there. Go on. So your fans can see you. I have to give her all sorts of encouragement because she doesn't like to jump up on the couch anymore. She's probably happy to jump down, but she doesn't like to jump up anymore. I think because sometimes when I'm not here, she tries it and fails. And that probably disturbs her because that this is the very first indication that I have in any way that my little peanut is getting older. Anyway, yeah, voting for speaker. Oh my, we could talk for a long time about that spectacle and about this new rules package that is deadly, just deadly, and that Americans don't know about because it's parliamentary and procedural. So they don't, the dumb mainstream network news that we are so misserved by think that they'll lose clicks, they'll lose eyeballs if they start to talk about it. Not that any of the dumb airheads can understand it, but still. Anyway, Michael Lombardo says if you go with the new releases for the book club, libraries will usually let you reserve books that haven't come out yet. Yes, new releases would be fascinating to do. That seems extra exclusionary, though. I feel guilty enough just thinking about uh, assigning or featuring some book that isn't a brand new release, but that is a matter of backlist or midlist or something like that. That feels exclusionary enough as it is. Without a new release, that would be ooh. Michael Lombardo. We haven't even mentioned George Santos. No, we haven't mentioned George Santos. It's true. And what is there to say? I don't care about him. I care about what he says about the Republican Party. Even a decade ago, even as little as a decade ago, he would have been peremptorily expelled. And he hasn't been. No one's even seriously thinking about doing that. He hasn't done anything against Trump, and that's the only reason that you will face any kind of discipline in the Trump party is if you've done something against Trump. He completely rules. Uh, uh, let's see here, Nicholas. I fear you are right, Steve. Erasmus will fade away, his memory being forgotten. If only he hadn't been placed in the on the index. What a great tragedy. Now you can't blame the Catholic Church. Okay, he's fading away because, well, I would argue first because he's not served by modern translators. If somebody put together a 500 page version, a really engaging 500 page edition of the adages that made him so much money in his lifetime, basically an annotated quotation book, it would sell. It would absolutely sell. The familiar colloquies, if they were energetically translated, they are still funny. Erasmus can still make you laugh, but people go at him from a scholarship point of view. They don't ever go at him in a Peviar and Volkonsky type translation way where they're trying to entertain the reader. Instead, don't get me started on Erasmus. It's bad enough when this Stevestream has to wrap up. uh, Fit to be Read. Not many multiplex thinkers in that body. No, no, no. And a whole bunch of insurrectionists, a whole bunch of traitors to the United States. Somebody who planted pipe bombs on Capitol Hill on the eve of a violent insurrection to overthrow the government is going to be leading major committees. Someone who called supporters and told them where hidden legislative panic rooms were and who disabled panic buttons so that they could get their colleagues lynched by a mob. That person is also going to be the chair of powerful committees in the House. Uh, anyway, that reading guy says maybe your book club can be taken off Project Gutenberg, not classics, but popular literature now in public domain. Yeah, that would work. I like that idea because I don't like to put a strain on people, but I kind of wanted to talk about stuff that won't be on Project Gutenberg for 100 years. I kind of wanted to do that. I don't know. I don't. I wish I had examples. Actually, I do have examples. You can see the kind of book I want to talk about if you watch my library tour. Those are the kind of books that I want to talk about, and they're not on Project Gutenberg, and they never will be. Um, Spaminator says your book club could be all about Stephen King. That would be entertaining, at least. Uh, Christopher Dunn proposes tentacle historical fiction. Nicholas says, I pray such translations will one day come. Eh, I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't hold your breath. It's a terrible shame. I had an old friend of mine years and years ago, decades and decades ago. Uh, we had a project that we were doing together, and one aspect of the project was well, it's a long story, but it ended up with my friend not only suggesting but urging me to do a spot translation of one familiar colloquy of Erasmus, because that friend had seen me do. I did a translation of a chunk of Froissart for that friend, and he was amazed. At least he said that he was amazed. He said, "This is incredible. No translation of this author ever reads this way." And he wanted to know if it was a fluke, so he had me translate. I did a translation for him of a chunk of Bede. I took liberties with the language, but I was not inaccurate. I was just trying to make it entertaining for the reader in the way that the originals were. So in the end, this project came down to me translating a familiar colloquy, and that friend said, if I had funding, I would get you to translate all of Erasmus, and then maybe we could turn around this decline. Anyway, the Spaminator. I hate politics, modern politics anyway. Yeah. Well, I do too. Although I want to point out, nothing that's happened on the House of Representatives or on Capitol Hill or on January 6th had anything to do with politics. But I also hate it. Michael Lombardo. So, will there be a Steve stream as part of whatever book club you decide on? Well, that's one way that we could go. One template here would be we pick a book, you all get copies. I do. We talk about it uh, once a week for that month, and then at the in the course of the month, while I'm doing videos on it, we also have an ongoing Voxer stream. Maybe we could finish up the month with a Steve stream about that book, but it would end up being about Lex Fridman. So I don't know how that would work. Taylor Brock says, "Hey Steve, do you think Erica Lee's book, like The Making of Asia America, is woke free? Her college profile has personal pronouns, assuming it's college requirement. I think a lot of colleges do require it, but I don't know. I don't know the book at all. I probably gave it a wide berth, just assuming the worst about it. So it could be. I don't know. Jeffrey Clark, you should respect Santos. After all, how many people have walked on the moon? Kevin JN, are you excited about any Kennedy books coming out this year? There's one. I don't know that it's coming out this year. I'm not. I'm the opposite of excited. I'm dreading a whole bunch of them that are coming out this year. But there's one that I'm excited about if it actually happens. I think that it will. Being Lamb, when is the CPL series coming back? Yes, my producer had a family emergency, so I came up with a raft of a program of shows for this week. It was going to be for this week. That is really good. I'm just going to ask him if we can preserve that program and do it next week. I think if all goes well with his family emergency, we will start on Monday and just do Monday. We'll just do the weekdays. Uh, let's see here. Fit to be read. I'm doing a buddy read with a few people, and they came up with Grass by Sherry Tepper. I'm not jazzed for it. Talk me into it. Oh, so you're perfectly happy to have me talk you into it, but not be part of the buddy read. I see. Only in this case, my attempt to guilt you is mistaken because I can almost guess why I'm not involved in that buddy read, and it's not you. It's not you. It's probably somebody in that buddy read thinks I'm Satan incarnate, or more than one somebody does. Probably you knew that without even asking them, so your instincts avoided the subject. You don't think that. I swear, that metric, I will never understand it, but it is so persistent on BookTube. It is not. It has lasted the whole time. Uh, but in answer to your question, first of all, I don't consider Sherry Tepper to be an A-list writer. A lot of her fans do, but I don't think that there are fans of writers like her or A.E. Van Vogt or um, what's the other one that almost came to my mind? Uh, Well, there's another author. Well, there are plenty of authors to come to mind. They're really good, but I don't think she's an A-list author. And I think when you read Grass, you'll notice that Grass is the best thing she ever wrote. But I think you'll notice that it is sleepy at times. It's very smart and it's very good on concepts, and you sometimes like that. In fact, I get the impression that sometimes the strength of a concept will allow you to let other shortcomings slide just a bit. Looking at your best of lists, I noticed that some books that fail on other things are given grace by the strength of their concepts. If that's true, then there are a couple of Sherry Tepper novels that you really like, and Grass is one of them. But yeah, I can't wholeheartedly sing its praises. And you're a pretty discerning science fiction reader, so I bet you'll see why. I bet you'll notice its flaws. Still worth it to read. Absolutely. Singing Stones or Grass, or they're worth to read. I don't agree at all with the people who just dive into all of her stuff. It's just not worth it. Not when, especially when a lot of the people who dive into her stuff and overpraise it have never read James Tiptree. They've only barely read Ursula Le Guin, and even Lee Brackett. They don't know. In other words, I think a lot of the reading that is done with her is done for reasons that have nothing to do with the quality of her work. So, but it's an hour-long subject. The reading guy says we need Alex to push Steve to publish a translation of Erasmus. Oh, we have a lot of other things in mind to do. CDN Chaos Z says Wolf Hall read along. Don't you doubt. Wolf Hall, at least the first book, was on the short list of things I wanted to do. Wolf Hall itself, the first novel, was pretty much the poster child of why I didn't want to restrict this to just canonical stuff. What I wouldn't give to do a read along of Wolf Hall. That would be so much fun to do. Uh, Michael Lombardo says, and while we're here for Psalm Sunday to continue. Oh, Psalm Sunday is going to continue. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. That was so much fun. Nicholas, thank you for sharing that story, Steve. I couldn't help but think you would be the man to inject such energy into a new Erasmus translation. The key is to translate Erasmus as he wrote to his public. That's the key. Fish warehouse wholesalers loved his books. They weren't written for clerics at the Sorbonne. They were written for readers. They made him wealthy by writing for readers. I've never seen a translator of his get that. And as a result, he has fallen into the hands of scholars, and that's just it. That's where he'll stay. Andy Curley Books. I tried to read The Keep by Jennifer Egan and could not get into it. The writing was not for me. Thoughts on Jennifer Egan? She stinks. So I don't doubt it. The Spaminator Werewolf Fiction Starter Kit. Do it. But you and werewolves, I swear. Fit to be read. You must think my whole friend group is anti-Stevers. Only takes one. And I'm not saying there was any collusion. I'm saying your instincts. Whoever set it up, their instincts, even if they aren't the anti-Stever, the instincts will come through. There are plenty of people who I know are perfectly friendly to me who would never invite me to an event because of the other people involved in the event, because it has this weird, unholy afterlife where all of a sudden I am some sort of dividing line. Are you okay with Steve or are you not? It's so awkward that even now, when somebody invites me to be part of an event, I have to take them aside in a private email or a private Voxer message and say, I'm sorry, it's really embarrassing, but I have this chain of Jacob Marley here. And so you really should poll everybody in the event to make sure they're all right before you invite me. It's maddening, absolutely maddening. Greg Strawn says, yes, Psalm Sunday. What a great video. Well, thank you. Aren't you nice? But I am going to continue. Absolutely. Fit to be read. I'd never heard of Tepper before, so I was assuming she wasn't A-list, hence my hesitation. Well, you don't only read A-list. Right? You don't only do that. I know for a fact that you love lots of B and even C list. She is definitely worth it. Grass, at least, is worth it. I can't remember. I had all the mass market paperbacks once upon a time. They had a rather attractive set of mass market paperbacks 30 years ago. I can't remember for the Sci-Fi Masterworks, the Golan Sci-Fi Masterworks. I know they did Grass. I can't remember if they did Singing of the Stones or anything else. I don't know if they did anything other than Grass. But Grass is certainly worth reading, even if it's not A-list. The Spaminator, Western Canon Starter Kit, sophomore year, volume 2, whatever you want to call it, do it. You're full of demands, aren't you? Must be the whiskey, as you said. Fit to be read. Yes, ideas and concepts can carry for me. See, we that's why I value your science fiction evaluative videos so much because we're completely different in that regard. Just completely different. Like I always say, if you take away the science from science fiction, you're left with the fiction, and the fiction is usually terrible. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think that a lot of bad work gets a pass in the genre and always has because that's true. So I think well, Jason Harrigan, I think, is probably much closer to a concept reader. Certainly, Stephen Andrews, the outlaw bookseller, is much closer to I think he's much closer to giving concepts a pass in sci-fi than I am. I I'm just not. But that rambling guy is answering fit to be read. Aren't all of our friends like that? After all, he smells. Steve is our collective guilty pleasure. Well, at least all of you, no matter what you think about my smell, at least all of you have done me the minimal courtesy of spending time with me before you decide whether or not I'm Satan incarnate. The people in these groups, or all of the UK booktubers, or wherever you're going to find the people who are just living off this unholy, undead virus of give Steve a wide berth, don't know anything about me. They've never watched a video. They're only going on gossip. That's all. After all this time, after all these years. Uh, Auntie Gaia says, there are so many delicious passages in Wolf Hall. It's like molten chocolate cake. I agree. And Wolf Hall would be on the list if I did a certain kind of the STD book club. Uh, Taylor Brock, oh, did I miss you? Would you consider asking everyone to send their fashion slash decor magazines for video content? Sean G says thoughts on Lex Fridman's read list. I didn't know that Lex Fridman was going to come up on this video, so I'm not an expert on him. I didn't even know that his channel dabbled in talking about literature. That makes me angry. That will probably motivate me to do a deep dive on his channel, at least to look for the books, for the book related stuff. Perhaps even the inaugural BroTube, the inaugural BroWatch video of 2023 should be Lex Fridman, since he's come up on this live stream. Uh, Sean G, can you make a rant on Dude Bro? Well, apparently I am being pushed by the fates to do one on Lex Fridman. Andy Curly Books, I have only a mild interest in Wolf Hall, but if it included a read along with Steve, I'd definitely be willing to give it a try. You would love it. That reading guy, Sean G, is answering Sean G. Steve is probably all dude broed out after a year of Cormac McCarthy worship. It wasn't easy to go through. It wasn't easy to go through that. Two novels. I think probably the next thing like that I will have to go through. Can you imagine the effusion that will happen when he dies? If anything, it will eclipse the effusion that was 2022, and I'm not looking forward to that. If I'm around to see it. Kevin JN says the nuance you saw in Psalm 15 on usury was very insightful. Well, a lot of you liked the comparative translation bit. I wasn't going to do that originally, but a lot of you like that, so we'll go heavy into that for the one on Sunday. Maximus Stedich, with you recently talking about Larry Kramer's magnum opus, would you consider doing a gay literature history starter kit? I thought I did a starter kit for the gays. I thought I did. I thought sure that I did. It seems to me that many in the community are ignorant toward the heritage. Just to put it mildly, they are. Yeah. I thought I did one. Oh my God. A starter kit for the gays. If I haven't done one of those, I'll do it right away. Um, the Spaminator's talking about whiskey again. Longbow uh, XMKLII. I would love a gay lit slash history starter for someone who seems to know a lot about it, especially from someone young enough not to live through AIDS, etc. Yes, well, it'd be hard to limit it to 10 books, but I could. I don't know. I'd have to mix fiction and nonfiction. I'll definitely do it. Definitely. I worry that if I did it, a lot of it would be AIDS centric because that was the end of the world. That was just something utterly unbelievable that happened. That was, I mean, think about COVID-19, right? Think about early 2020. Suddenly, there's this massively communicable, serious virus circling the globe. And suddenly you realize not only what you need to do, I'm waiting for a vaccine, I'll use masks and social distancing and isolation in the meantime, but not only were you realizing that, but you were suddenly made aware of what everybody around you thinks about that kind of thing, right? The refrain in early 2020 was, you're wearing a mask for other people. You're wearing a mask because you care about other people, even people you don't know. You're not going to the grocery store and buying all the toilet paper because you care about other people, even people you don't know. And we were seeing endless examples of how that belief was wrong. It was a massive cold water wake up call about what your neighbors and friends really were like. Well, imagine that on the subject of homosexuality. I I worry that I worry that a starter kit for the gays would be all AIDS centric. That would be it was a weird, unbelievable period for me for a whole bunch of reasons. So, anyway, that history is important. Well, I agree, it is fit to be read. I assume Fight Club is the Dude Bro Bible. Um, no, no, it is a Dude Bro sacred text. The Dude Bro text, the text from which all other Dude Bro literature flows, is the Old Man and the Sea. But the Dude Bro Bible, it has to be Infinite Jest. But the Fight Club is definitely a sacred text. You're not allowed to blaspheme. Michael Lombardo says, if you had a chance to shortlist picks of 2023 sci-fi or best American series compendiums, I don't know what that means. I don't know what your question means. Uh, Geo Craftsman says, I'm pretty sure you did do a gay starter cut. I thought I did. Uh, Sean G says, why do dude bros like Russian literature specifically? They don't. They don't. They just say they do. Okay, a key distinction with dude bros. They love to talk about Russian lit, but they don't read it. They don't read it. And the part of that is self-preservation. They might be dumb, but they're not dumb. So they know that if they read a really good translation of a great Russian classic, they won't be dude bros anymore. They will have encountered genuine literature that moves them in genuine ways and that isn't reinforcing their dumb worldview. And that will lead them into the reading that we all do. It will lead them into actual literature and away from the dude bro mindset. So they avoid it. They talk about it because it's all written by tortured men, tortured sexist men. But they don't read it. They absolutely don't read it. If you meet a dude bro who says they do, they're lying. They don't. uh, let's see here. The Spaminator. I have a better mustache than Lex Fridman. He couldn't grow a mustache if his life depended on it. He couldn't do it. Longbow says maybe it was mentioned, but maybe a book club based around your famous Steve reads list from the past. Somebody did bring that up. A lot of the books that I would want to do have been on those lists, so that would dovetail. I wouldn't make it about those lists, but Wolf Hall, I've got Wolf Hall on the mind. Wolf Hall, The Killer Angels, stuff like that. Books that I love to talk about, but that I've never taught in an academic setting. Uh, but anyway, we have to wrap up. This is Steve Stream. Yes, we do. We have to wrap up this Steve Stream. Uh, uh, let's see here. Uh, Auntie Gaia says Angels in America by Kushner is a must read slash watch. I agree. It would be on any list that I would do. Uh, or I could just perform it for you since I know all the parts. Yeah, read it and also see it. See was it HBO? The HBO did a magnificent version of it that is really must watching. Uh, Sean G says your thoughts on White Lotus. I haven't seen White Lotus. I have a screener. I haven't watched it. I just haven't bothered to do it. I haven't watched White Lotus, even though it's a genuine cultural phenomenon. But I have watched the Adam Driver dinosaur action movie 65 probably 3 times. So, these screeners are wasted on me. Michael Mullen says I'm late to the party, late for a very important date. Well, we're wrapping up anyway. Uh, Fit to be read. My starter kit included The Best Little Boy in the World, The Lord Won't Mind, Tales of the City, Dahlgren, Ender's Game. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't put Dahlgren on there, right? I would adhere to a starter kit, which means you don't put a thousand page postmodern epic on the list because that's not a starter. But I also wouldn't put Armistead Maupin on there for personal reasons, but also I think for textual reasons. He's I there's there's no literary merit in those books. I know that's heresy. I know that'll cause howls, but they're not good. They never have been good. It's just I no offense to the great Olympia Dukakis. Uh, 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 let's see here. Uh, well, it doesn't. I shouldn't be thumbing down here because we have to wrap this up. We have to wrap up this Steve stream. Michael Mullen says Angels in America is phenomenal. I agree. It is, and it announces that it's going to be phenomenal right from the beginning. Right at the beginning of, if you mean the TV show, the TV show announces its brilliance right at the beginning with Meryl Streep playing a 90-year-old Jewish rabbi. She carried that world on her back. I did not know this woman. Gola Muad'Dib says, "What do you think of Asimov's Foundation? I only read the first book, didn't like it as much as Dune. Also picked out more things Lucas stole from Star Wars." Uh, I you won't like Foundation as much as Dune, but Foundation is good. I'm not I would not advocate the long haul of the Foundation books. I think it's the law of diminishing returns. Unless you loved Foundation. If you loved Harry Seldon, if you love the whole idea, then you should definitely read the trilogy. Uh that reading guy says, I recently read the novel Less by Greer based off your recommendation. It was fantastic. Thank you. So clever and touching. Do you recommend the next two books in the series? I do. Yes. Fit to be read. I didn't really mean starter kit. They were just the ones I started with. Oh, and Ender's Game was a joke. Well, and putting Ender's Game on a list like that would upset all the right people. uh, Michael is clarifying both the show and the source material for Angels in America. Yes, and the show is amazing. It is amazing. The set director got great performances out of everyone. Now, with some of the actors involved, that's not hard. Some of the actors involved, it is. And so let's just say some of the actors involved, it is hard to get a really good performance out of them. And he got great performances out of everybody. He got three great performances out of Meryl Streep. Just it's not easy to do with a lot of them. I myself would argue a little bit of a heresy, but he's not actually here. I would argue that Justin Kirk has never done anything even remotely approaching uh, the job that he did as Prior Walker. I think in that mini series, I don't think he's done anything even remotely approaching. Probably because the material really moved him. But he's terrific in that, and he's not alone by any means. Oh my god, I am usually not a fan of the way Al Pacino chews scenery. And I originally thought that his casting for that miniseries was a mistake. He completely proved me wrong. Oh my, completely proved me wrong. I just anyway, anyway, uh, anyway, we need to wrap this up. I love it that you all joined me. This is absolutely great. 60 people with 5 minutes warning. It was absolutely great. And I have a lot to think about for the STD book club. That's a lot to think about. That's really helpful. I won't be able to do a Steve stream for the next couple of days. I am buried in work, and this didn't help. It helped in every other way, but it didn't help with the work. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. I really appreciate you all coming by, and we will Steve stream again, probably on the weekend. So I'll see you all then. I'll give you much more warning next time. So think about an STD book club. Come up with ideas. Think about what form you would like it to take. As I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.